psychological resilience, and these are some of the strategies and best practices that we have seen to be quite effective with some of our participants in the mental health training that we have been doing with Maritime Training Center, of course together with mental health support solutions. Okay, so we have been hearing the word resilience for earlier this time, and let me just give another term for resilience. The term is adapting well. So when we say that the person is resilient, the person is able to adapt well to the stressors that they might encounter on board and on shore. So what are these stressors? Of course, there are such things such as the family problems, which Filipinos always have, being Filipino, being family-oriented individuals that we are. So even though we are on board or on shore, these are common stressors for us. And then of course there are these serious health problems. You have mentioned, Dr. Chris mentioned earlier about being classy. So those are a lot of worry for some of our seafarers, because they worry that they might not pass the medical exam. So those things are constantly on their mind, and this of course affects how they are going to work and how they are going to deal with work. Okay, and of course financial stressors. How is my pay going to deal with the inflation that we are dealing with right now? When is my friend going to pay back the money that he owed me? So those kinds of stressors are constant things that plague our minds. So these are some of simple ways for us to build our resilience. And again, as mentioned earlier by Dr. Ibanez, this is something that's not extraordinary from any one of us, because it's something that is already there. We just have to build on it. We just have to develop it further. And one of the things that we can do in order to build resilience is to build our connections. So, and this is something that we tend to ignore, especially when on board. I hear with some of my participants when we do the mental health training, they tend to just group together Filipinos, among Filipinos, other nationalities together with other nationalities. And we tell them that this is not helpful at times, because we're not learning anything new when we do those kinds of connections. Yes, we are connecting with other people, but then the growth is stunted in that sense. And in a way, the cohesion is not built if you're going to do that kind of connection. Because you're going to be working with these people for several months. So you need to develop good connections with them regardless of what nationality they are. And one of the simple ways that we can build connections is just having a meal together. So sometimes we forget these simple things, but having a meal together, it's going to be more enjoyable if we're eating with someone, and someone who can relate to us better the struggles that we are dealing with on a day-to-day basis on board. So I encourage you, especially the officers here, to encourage eating together regardless of what nationality the seafarers are from. And then fostering wellness. Now, the first one there is self-care. Under self-care is exercise, good sleep, and good diet. So let me just go through it one by one. With exercise, whenever we do the training, we get these sharings from the participants that they don't have gyms on the ship. So sometimes we just encourage them, why don't you walk around the decks? 20 minutes is okay already for an exercise, because the ship is quite large, right? And then they would say, yeah, go try that. But then there are also other participants who says that they make use of the gym inside the ship, and that's good, I think. And then, of course, the other one is sleep. So that was also mentioned by Chris earlier, sleep is something that we cannot take lightly because it's the way for our mind and body to recharge. So without ample rest, we're not going to do well in our work the following day. And I just have to emphasize, there's no deposits on sleep. Because a lot of people tend to say, oh, I'm just going to sleep longer the next day because I slept short today. There's no deposits on sleep. So you have to sleep 7 hours at most on a daily basis. You can say, since today I slept 3 hours, I'm going to sleep 10 hours tomorrow. No, that's not how it works. And of course, the food. So a lot of seafarers have been telling us they have been given, although they want to eat nutritiously, they are always served seafood. It's a food that they would throw in the sea. So that's how they describe it. So if we want to take care of the welfare of our seafarers, we have to be mindful of what they eat because it's part of their welfare, it's part of the body. You cannot expect them to be of healthy mind if the things that are going inside their body are not really that nutritious. Okay. Next, the other one is finding purpose. So this is one of the things that we tend to emphasize on a lot because a lot of people, especially those who experience homesickness or people who get so stressed out, sometimes they forget what they are there for. So finding your purpose amidst all the chaos, amidst all the stressors is going to be very helpful because for one, it will help you to reevaluate what you are there for. It's okay what your purpose is. If your purpose is to get rich for a small amount of time, that's okay, that's your purpose. If your purpose is to provide for your family, that's okay. And we try to help people to find their purpose again in order for them to cope better with the stressors that they would be experiencing on board. And once they are there, they get this sense that, right, I'm here for that. And then, of course, let me just emphasize on self-discovery. And this is also another thing that we try to forget at times, or we forget at times. So self-discovery is something that you can do, again, as I mentioned earlier, with building connections. This is something that we can realize when we deal with other people, especially people from different backgrounds. You would notice he has different values than mine, but then we're still similar in another way. So that kind of journey helps you to refine or to find again or rediscover your purpose in life. And finding it again will help you deal with your stressor better. And lastly is keeping healthy thoughts. So keeping things in perspective is quite a different, or it's quite a difficult thing to do because a lot of times we tend to control things that are beyond our control and forget that only a limited circle of things are within our control. So sometimes we are stressed out because we're trying to control these things. So this is what we have been emphasizing on our training. We have to know what are those things that are within our control and to know what are those things that are outside of our control. And then when we get to that, we have to accept the fact that this is part of the change. This is part of the things that we have to go along with, or else we're going to be left behind. We're not going to grow, we're not going to develop. And of course, there is optimism, but it's quite different from what we know nowadays, the toxic positivity. It's quite different from that. Optimism is having the hope that things are going to work well despite of the challenges. So it's not toxic positivity, like comparing yourself or comparing other situation to another person's situation. not like that. It's having this sense that there's still something that we can do about it regardless of the challenges that we're facing. And lastly, learning from our past. So if we're able to keep healthy thoughts, we're able to reflect well on ourselves and understand that we have done this before and we have faced this before. So maybe we can try another way to deal with it. And of course, hopefully that would be a better way of dealing with the issue. So I think that's it for my presentation.